Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Nikki and I'm a sophomore studying RISD's painting major. We just wrapped up the first semester and I decided to make a video sharing all my paintings that I made for this semester. Just a head note, instead of explaining the meanings behind each painting, I want to focus more on my experiences as well as process, new things I learned in each assignment and what I think I could still improve on. So let's get started. So doing some reflection, I would say this semester is definitely challenging for me because I never used oil painting before and it's very different from I used to do, which is acrylic paint. Oil paint took forever to dry and I'm not really used to the pace of waiting each layer to dry first and then add pigments on top. Also, one hard lesson I learned is to always gesso my canvas really well before I assume one layer is enough because that's what I used to do, but then for one of my finals, I did 7 layers of gesso and it just makes the whole painting experience next level. It's so much smoother and easier to apply paint on top. Now onto the actual artworks. We started semester with 2 weeks of paint a day, just like the title of the assignment. We literally need to paint 1 panel per day. And I think the size is around 9 by 12 inches. The first week, the prompt is observational and I chose all my subject matters to be something I see every day in my life. And I like to paint zooming details. This first red watch, I used too much gel kit, so it took even longer to dry. And our goal is to spend around 1 to 2 hours on each painting, which was very short for me since I'm a slow painter. And for the later works, I started to feel a little more comfortable with oil paint, and I did some underpainting using acrylic. Anyways, it's kind of obvious I was sticking with my old ways of painting. I was in my comfort zone doing realism style. Then move on to the second week. No more prompt, so I started exploring more ways of applying paint. I did some abstract paintings. I was listening to music and paint whatever comes to my mind. One painting, I only used palette knife. I hated this painting at the time, but I think it's a good practice overall because it forced me to step out of my comfort zone. Then I also tried using Gamso to create a dripping effect, and I think that was really fun. I also did pointillism, which was inspired by one of the class assignments, which I will go over later. Talking about in-class assignments, and practices, we did still life, which we tried acrylic underpainting, and then we added color layers later using gel kit oil. We did pointillism, trying to use straight out of tube pigments and then create illusions when we step further away. The goal was to minimize the mixing of pigments. We also went to Nature Lab, did observational drawing of a close-up animal, and I chose crab. And then we need to recreate a close-up painting based on memory and a sketch instead of copying an image. It was an interesting practice for me because I used to rely on photographs, but then I realized sometimes it makes my painting a little bit more stiff. Next assignment is self-portrait. We did 2 of them. The first one is purely observational and realism. I looked in the mirror and then painted my own face. And I tried to explore surrealism style in the background, but as my professor suggested, it needed a little bit more drama. But it's again a good practice. The second self-portrait is symbolic, so we need to paint ourselves without showing any facial or body features. For this one, I was very lost because I feel sometimes if I don't have a major subject, I don't know how to balance my picture and make a good composition, if that makes sense. And my classmates also suggested me to think deeper about my subject matters, like what's actually important to me and why I need to include them in the picture. So I took all of those suggestions and created my next narrative series where again, I explored surrealism and storytelling. I felt a lot more confident in this series, both in subject matter and the way I apply paint. I used Gamso and wax to create different textures. I agree with some comments which people think I need a stronger connection between the 4 paintings using either similar color scheme or make the humans look more alike. In this series, I was also struggling between whether I should push myself in a more loose way of painting or I should keep my original style of doing realism. And I still don't know right now, but I feel I don't need to give up on either way. But one challenge right now is definitely trying to figure out a balanced way or a middle ground between the 2 styles. Now onto the final projects. For our painting studio final, we need to create at least 2 big paintings. So what I did is I made 6 small paintings along with 1 life-size painting, and the second painting is also big, but it's supposed to be viewed separately from the first group. My overall theme for the final is body and involvement. So I want to focus on a sense of overwhelmingness and lost feeling during puberty. For the big painting, I wanted to create a surrealistic or dreamlike imagery, showing my feeling in a bathroom. I had a hard time painting this. I wasn't working on this every day from start to finish. It was like around 2 months, I would say. And I did 1 layer of gesso, which was clearly not enough. So my pigments were blending together and I could see the texture of the canvas coming forward. Besides that, I also wanted to portray too many things because I have so much stuff or like so much feelings I want to show to the audiences, which makes the overall image very crowded. Other than that, I had a really fun time creating the 6 small paintings. I did a lot of mixed medias and each painting represents a specific body part. I sticked on my own nails and I collect my fallen hairs. I also included many 3D materials like stocking and yarns. Many people also appreciated those 6 small paintings more than the big painting, and they suggest me exhibit them separately from the centerpiece. The second big painting, I spent a lot less time. Things comes naturally to me and I felt I know what to do for this one. I did a lot more layers of gesso, so I had a lot more freedoms to experience with different ways of applying paint. I also learned to leave space in the work, leave room to breathe. I also felt I find a better way of balancing 2 ways of painting, like a looser way and the more realistic style. Overall, this semester is challenging, but I learned so much more from my own practices as well as through critiques. I was in a rush settling down and find my own style, but in the future, instead of pushing myself too hard, I wanted to explore more new things and have more fun doing the process, not be afraid to make bad paintings and trust myself. Also, I saw all the comments you guys typed under each of my video. I'm so grateful for all of them. Thank you for staying with me in my art journey, and please reach out if you have more questions about art. See you in next video.